This was the official Weibo page of the US Embassy in Beijing. Around February 2nd, 2024, many netizens flocked there, leaving messages like, "I don't love this country anymore. The last piece of pure land of our Chinese civilization is Taiwan. Please protect it for us and don't let the dirtbags destroy it." What happened to make the Chinese people reach this kind of awakening? It started back on January 31st, 2024. Coming into 2024, China's stock market is in woe, with A shares falling all the way down, and over 5,200 stocks in Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing falling. The market capitalization has lost more than 60% of its value from its peak in 2021, evaporating nearly 2 trillion. Since the last time China's stock market fell below 2,900 points, the Chinese government has followed up with a series of bailout measures. For example, it unprecedentedly allowed foreign investors to operate banks and insurance companies with 100% shareholding in China. But they failed to boost the stock market. On January 31st, China and Hong Kong stock markets plummeted again. A shares refers to China's domestic shares versus B shares that are traded only by foreigners. They are denominated in Chinese currency renminbi and traded in the Shanghai and Shenzhen stock exchanges. The decline in A shares wiped out last week's gains. It directly enraged the investors. A netizen in Shandong province said, "The rule makers have never treated the bottom people as one of their own. They always think they can control everything and manipulate everything. The people can carry the boat, they can also overturn the boat. The heart doesn't get cold overnight. People aren't unevolved animals. They are going to pay for it." One shareholder commented, "I've lost 800,000 yuan, that's 110,000, down to 80,000. I've lost all my hopes for Big A over the past few years." Another stockholder who has long seen through the Chinese stock market said, "I've made 5 points on the Nasdaq, 7 points on the Nikkei. We only have Maotai technology, a known Chinese liquor, but the West has hard technology such as Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, and Apple. How can we compare them? Where are the people who used to laugh at me for buying Nasdaq and Nikkei?" On January 31st, 2024, some shareholders indicated that they would like to take practical actions. How can we unite all shareholders and mutual fund buyers to fight against unfair practices? If there is such an organization, please notify all investors. We can't be so passive anymore to be harvested and beaten up. We have to stand up for ourselves. One investor said, "Calling for patriotic people to meet together to sing the national anthem and the international anthem in front of the SEC. I wonder how many people can sign up." The post had 17,000 displays. Many netizens have responded to the call. Perhaps fearing the anger of bleeding investors, a notice circulated online on January 31st showed that the Property and Central Management Office of the Shanghai Stock Exchange issued an urgent notice to strengthen safety inspections of inbound items such as takeout and express delivery. It said they were afraid of being poisoned. What was the government doing on that day? As usual, it continues to sing the bright theory of China's economy. On January 31st, the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, held a meeting. It fully affirmed the work of the party and the state since the 20th Party Congress in October 2022. It approved of its work plan for the year 2024 and considered that the work on all fronts had a good start. However, as the stock market plummeted, in the comment section of the news item that Xi Jinping presided over the Politburo meeting, many investors mocked the central government by leaving comments like, "Well, well, well." China's economy continues to be sluggish and declines in the A-share market have become the norm. The central government's so-called positive propaganda cannot conceal the miserable reality. Regarding China's stock market, large companies that have clearly seen the situation have already made their choices. After years of wandering in the A-share market and losing more than US $310 million, one of China's most well-known companies, Yunnan Baiyao Group, a Chinese pharmaceutical company, announced that it would no longer trade in the stock market.
Yunnan Baiyao tearfully admitted losses and announced the official farewell to the stock market. It is really when a big A scythe swings. Even Yunnan Baiyao can't stop bleeding. Last night, it announced that the company would no longer carry out the secondary market securities investment business in 2024. The reason is very simple. That is, it is completely defeated by the big A stock market. If you summarize its investment performance in these years, that is, although it has made a lot of money, it has lost even more. From entering the market in 2018 to exiting in 2023, it made $400 million in the first 3 years. In the next 3 years, it lost all that, plus another $421 million. Looking back at its entire investment history, Yunnan Baiyao is just another piece of big Chinese chive, despite being a listed company. Like most Chinese chives who got cut, it relied on the luck of being a new player at first, made a steady entry into the market, and made some money, but then it has been losing money. In the first 2 years of stock trading, Yunnan Baiyao was relatively cautious, investing while learning, and mainly bought bonds. At the end of 2019, the company's cumulative investment income was $42 million, which was considered a relatively ideal start. With the investment experience in the previous 2 years, and at the end of 2019, the company embraced its new CEO known as China's Warren Buffett. Yunnan Baiyao's investment style began to become radical. In the first half of 2020 alone, an additional $1.84 billion was allocated for stock trading. It's important to realize that after taking out this amount of money, the company's cash on hand at the end of that year was only $270 million. For a listed company of that size, it was almost a stud operation, commonly known as full position operation, but high risk brought high returns. By the end of 2020, Yunnan Baiyao ushered in a high time for stock speculation. Its investment income reached more than 2 billion yuan, or more than $280 million, which accounted for almost half of the company's net profit that year. At the same time, Yunnan Baiyao's stock price has also reached its historical peak. The company enjoyed both fame and fortune at the time, and was once considered by investors to be the most proficient pharmaceutical company in stock trading in China. But nothing good lasts forever. Yunnan Baiyao, which had just tasted sweetness in the secondary market, was soon caught in a whirlpool of investment losses. In 2021, Yunnan Baiyao suffered its first Waterloo, losing $200 million on Xiaomi stocks, $40 million on Tencent, and $28 million on Jiangsu Hengrui Pharmaceuticals. All in all, they lost a total of $250 million in stock trading throughout the year. By 2022, Big A officially entered a bear market, although Yunnan Baiyao had reacted in advance and successively reduced its stock positions. The ship was unfortunately too big to make quick turns, and many positions weren't adjusted in time. By the end of the year, it had lost $133 million. At that time, the company's full-year net profit was only more than $420 million. The loss incurred from the stock speculation had already accounted for 1/3 of the annual profit. Not only did it affect the company's performance, it also made investors completely disappointed with the company's future development. During that period, Yunnan Baiyao's own stock price fell by nearly 70% from its high level. The company's shareholders finally couldn't sit still and stood up to protest one after another, preventing the management from continuing to invest at will. Finally, with the unanimous vote of the board of directors, the company decided to step back from the brink and gradually liquidate its positions.
Public information shows that Yunnan Baiyao is a well-known Chinese herbal medicine that originated in Yunnan province. It was successfully developed by a folk doctor in 1902. The medicine has the effect of removing blood stasis and stopping bleeding, activating blood circulation, and relieving pain. In 1955, the CCP plundered the private property of national capitalists and private individual workers through the public-private partnership movement. In the same year, the founder's wife donated the formula of Yunnan Baiyao to the CCP, and the factory was later confiscated. Maybe the founder of Yunnan Baiyao didn't expect that his hard work would be harvested like Chinese chives twice. But this is definitely not the last time Chinese people will suffer losses in stocks, because the stock market is still falling. February 2nd, 2024 was a traditional Chinese festival called Xiaonian. It's supposed to be a holiday celebrated by Chinese people before the traditional New Year. But on that day, China's A-shares plummeted. Among them, the Shanghai index fell more than 2% at one point, breaking the 2,700-point threshold. It fell to a low of 2,666.33 points. More than 5,100 shares fell, with more than 1,000 down over 8%. Perhaps because they already had experience and were afraid that the people would make revolting remarks again. On that day, the Oriental Fortune pop-up screen was temporarily shut down. It's reported that the China Securities Regulatory Commission and all related accounts have disabled comments, but the anger caused by the A-share plunge must be vented somewhere. Therefore, investors flooded to the Weibo page of the US Embassy in China, as that's one of the few places that censorship can't reach. Or at least, that's what netizens believe. Don't worry, the embassy account won't be blocked. Many shareholders cheered because they had found a place where they could speak freely. It's wonderful. It's the first time I've witnessed it. It feels good to be free. Some stock investors also mock the cyber police from afar. If you have the ability, ban this place too, so that everyone can witness history. The comments from the stockholders have also become bolder and more direct. Big Brother, the over 200 million stock investors support you. Perform the surgery using the nuclear weapons to get rid of the CCP. I will show you the way when you come to China. On that day, what was the central government, which is supposed to be responsible for the economy, doing? Naturally, it continued to sing the bright economic theory of China. On February 2nd, the People's Daily published an article entitled, "The whole country is overflowing with optimism." It stated that China has continued to improve the well-being of people's livelihood and the quality of people's lives as it pushes ahead with the modernization process. And the people's sense of achievement, happiness, and security has been significantly enhanced. On the one hand, the stock market plummeted. On the other hand, the central government said that the whole country is overflowing with optimism. This absurdity has sparked hot debates among netizens. I lost hundreds of thousands of yuan this year, but I am as happy as can be. 5 trading days with a stock loss of more than 100,000 yuan. I am optimistic about this. All that's left is to not buy a home, change the car, travel, go to the mall, or shop online. It doesn't matter, I'll just lie flat and wait for the quality of life to improve. The whole country is filled with optimism. What a great sentence. Some netizens commented bluntly, I thought it was North Korean news. Layoffs at age 35, delayed retirement, a bunch of rotten-tailed buildings, no more youth unemployment figures, endless mortgage payments, and the whole country is optimistic. I am curious, what does it mean to have 200 million stock investors and 700 million fund buyers? Very much in line with Chinese characteristics, after a period of time, when searching, the whole country is overflowing with optimism on Weibo, it's shown that according to relevant laws, regulations, and policies, the content of the topic is not displayed. So, what to do? Stockholders continue to vent and plead for help below the US Embassy in Beijing. Singing praises every day, no truth, fake bullshit, high-quality development. Has the US ever heard of them? Please ask the US Securities and Exchange Commission to send a few people to guide these pigs. The 200 million Chinese people are so angry at the government. Aren't you going to do something? Incredible China. China's stock market has been shorting itself for over 30 years. Bravo! However, one blogger thought it was a shame that stockholders went to the US Embassy to speak out en masse. He left a comment saying, It's embarrassing from top to bottom. The key is whether this is useful or not. Because foreign forces would have wanted you to collapse, you can only make them feel that they must step up their efforts to mess with you. It's effective to mess with you in this way. This is the problem of basic logic. When you're done expressing your emotions, when you're done humiliating yourself, you still need a brain. However, people disagreed in the comments section. The disgrace belongs to the top CCP management. Poor people don't care about them being disgraced. I don't see your logic. Since you know that everyone from the top to the bottom is in disgrace, you don't do anything but try to block people's speech. If you say that other people love to see China collapse, then at the most they only hope to see it happen. They're not the ones who has made China collapse. It's ourselves who have got us into this mess. If we are screwed by our own people, is there a problem complaining to others? Blogger, are you pretending to be a fool? You should know very well the reasons why the country is in such a state. If all the fish in a pool are sick, can you blame the fish? Honestly, only by being in this market can I truly feel how a government can treat the vaporization of its own people's wealth with such indifference, as if the people under its rule are a bunch of slaves. I agree with 99% of what the blogger said, but I really don't agree with this one. We're hammered every day. Not only can't we complain, but they declare that we're overflowing with happiness. Is there any justice left? Some netizens also analyzed. As things stand, people are becoming bolder and more vocal, dissenting, questioning, and criticizing the state. This is becoming more common in today's society. It's not only because people are becoming more courageous and vocal. In effect, the voice of the people has become one of the most important indicators of the current state of affairs and national development. Shortly after the market opened on February 5th, the Shanghai index continued to fall by 2.36%. The Shenzhen index fell by 3.07%, and the GEM index fell by 2.55%. The Shanghai Stock Exchange index fell to 2,655.09 points at one point, and more than 2,000 company stocks came close to a trading halt. The tragic collapse has shocked many investors and continued to frighten them. After losing tens of millions of RMB, or about 10 million in the A-share crash, China's well-known trader Xiao Xia openly cursed the Communist Party leader. He has gone bad overnight from being a little pink before. It has caused a ruckus in China's cryptocurrency circle and stock market. He posted, "Down with Xi Jinping and down with the Communist Party. It's the only way to have a future." How many people in China have been harmed by this elementary school student referring to Xi Jinping? The cause of all the problems in the country points to one person. If one day a certain elementary school student suddenly dies, I think the Shanghai Stock Exchange Index may rise to a trading halt. Xiao Xia is rumored online to be missing now, suspected to have been arrested by the Chinese police. Why do shareholders keep getting fooled? It's because the CCP tries to coax Chinese chives into the market. At any time, under any circumstance, there will always be someone who coaxes you into the stock market. Here, this person is encouraging everyone to throw more money into the stock market. I declare that the Chinese stock market has hit bottom right here on February 2nd, 2024. Today will go down forever in history. 2,666 points will be the bottom for sure. There will be no more bottoms, and it will also be the starting point of a roaring bull market. Everyone must remember that 2,660 points will be the start of a major uptrend because it's already obvious that all positions that should be liquidated have been liquidated over the past 3 years. And just at the moment when I am live streaming 2,666 points, I have yelled 3 times that the Chinese stock market has hit the bottom. Why? Because first, let me teach you a piece of knowledge. When the main player wants to let everyone know of the bottom, it'll have a special sign. Today, we see it all. Second, you must understand one thing about the overall A-shares market. Every time it forms a sharp fall, it's followed by a sharp rise. After 3 years of the bear market, we just had another sharp bear. So there's bound to be a sharp bull born here. Once again, I remind you I will stay to the last in the Chinese stock market, and I will witness a real wave of surge in the A-shares market again. Those those viewers who like to follow me and wait for the major surge, please subscribe and like. And I want to remind you for the last time, there will be nothing lower than 2,666 points. Not next week, not this year, not next year. There is a high probability that 2,666 points is the lowest point in the market. A surge in the stock market is about to come. Despite the steady inflow of foreign capital into the Chinese market over the past decade, the confidence of global investors has been shaken by the heavy losses of the 3-year COVID epidemic. Even after the CCP lifted its restrictive policies on the epidemic, investor confidence continued to wane despite a brief rebound. Weak growth and unresolved crisis in the real estate sector, insufficient government support for the market, and diplomatic tensions between China and the US have made global investors more determined to avoid Chinese stocks over the past year. So does it work to continue to hype up the stock investors? We don't know. What we do know is that shareholders are very disappointed. The stock market plunged today, and I didn't pay any attention to it because I went to a sinkhole in Chongqing today. I want to experience if there was any scarier hole than our big A-shares market, and if there was any deeper hole than our big A-shares market, something like the 18th layer of hell. By February 3rd, 2024, the anger of stock investors hadn't subsided, and the number of comments on the Weibo page of the US consulate reached more than 80,000. The CCP censors finally stepped in. Netizens found that the top page of messages were constantly deleted throughout the day, but at the same time, new pages were bumped up by people. In the face of the censorship, investors could only say stuff like well and ha ha ha. One added at the end of the message, piss off, to express one's outrage. Someone made a sly dig at Xi Jinping by saying, credibility has been played out by one fat man, a historical sinner. By the morning of February 4th, the Chinese public wondered, have comrade censors finished deleting all the comments? One individual predicted, the day of pushback and rebuilding isn't far away. It looks like another wave of rebellion by stock investors is disappearing under the government's crackdown. Since taking over the fight against the epidemic, Xi Jinping, the CCP chief, has almost replaced the Chinese premier and become in charge of China's economy as well. That includes the financial sector. As the stock market is falling, what has Xi been up to? On February 1st, Xi visited an ancient culture street in Tianjin. In video footage circulating on social media, Xi made a point of talking about eating baozi at the Tianjin station during the 1966 Cultural Revolution. Student Rally Trip refers to the period from 1966 to 1967 when Red Guards, mainly university and secondary school students, traveled throughout China to rally. It was one of Mao Zedong's ways to launch the Cultural Revolution that effectively returned him to the center of power. Xi Jinping has many nicknames and baozi is one of them. His praise of baozi has left many Chinese laughing with bitterness as he was reminiscing about the year 1966, the height of the Cultural Revolution. Xi remembers the details of baozi. It's a box of 6, so clearly it was a memory-making time for him. His visit to Tianjin has no clear political purpose, except it was rumored some time ago that he suffered from pancreatic cancer and lost a lot of weight. From the footage, it can be seen that Xi is the only one with a chubby military coat. It has led to speculation that he wanted to show that he was in good health. He appeared in public to dispel the rumors, but he chose a bad day for it. On February 1st, when he recalled the Cultural Revolution and displayed his health, China's stock market was having a very bad day. No wonder it has sparked so many people mocking the Chinese economy and the stock market. I have 4 classmates who all started out 3 years ago with 800,000 yuan or 110,000. They chose 4 different paths. The first one took 110,000 and put it into the stock market. He stayed home for 3 years and lost 110,000 easily. The second one took 110,000 and invested in the restaurant business. He worked hard for 3 years, day and night, but lost all the 110,000. The third one put 110,000 as his down payment for Evergrande. Now, not only has he lost his down payment, but also lost 3 years of monthly payments. The home is still in a rotten-tailed state or unfinished, but he has to continue his repayments to the bank. The fourth one took 110,000 to do cross-border e-commerce and worked overtime every day. Now the platform told him that his store was closed for infringement and he had a fine of 140,000. His bank account has been controlled, and he still owes 140,000 to his suppliers and logistics providers. At the class reunion this year, they all concluded that stock trading was the most stable. One can easily lose the entire 110,000 without hard work.